Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's makeup look is this fierce smoky glam eye. The end result of this is quite a cool toned look, which a lot of you have asked me for. So let's get started. I'm using the True Match L'Oreal foundation. I'm dotting that over my face using my fingers, and then I'm going to be using a latex free sponge to work that into the face. This one is from Mascara Cosmetics. It is my ultimate favourite at the minute. It's so soft and it really doesn't absorb too much makeup and it just blends it beautifully, so I'm definitely a fan of this one. I have dampened my sponge so it has swelled in size, which makes it really easy to bounce over the face. I'm going to be using a mix of affordable products and high-end products for this tutorial. I'm also going to use one palette that covers the eye makeup, the blush and the highlight, as well as a little bit of the contour. But I'll tell you a little bit more about the palette when we come to that section. So don't forget to work that foundation in over your ears if your hair's up and down your neck. For brows, I'm using Hourglass Arch Brow Pencil, and this one is high end, but if you're looking for something that's more affordable, you can go to Superdrug or Boots and check out the Brow Stylist Pencil by Sleek Makeup. It's very similar in terms of that it's got the brow pencil one end and the spoolie the other, and that's going to allow you to comb the product through the brow, the same as what I'm doing now with this pencil. I've lined the base of my eyebrow so it's nice and straight and defined. Then I'm flicking the pencil, creating hair-like strokes through my brow and then using the brush to comb the colour through. You don't want to use the pencil to colour in the entire brow because you're going to get too much of a block looking eyebrow. The idea is to keep it natural and just fill in the sparse areas. Next I'm taking the Bourjois Healthy Mix Concealer. This one is affordable, it's a high street brand. And I'm using this on a small detailer brush to line underneath the brow. By making this area ever so slightly lighter, it's going to make the eyebrow look very clean and crisp. It's also going to add a subtle highlight to our brow bone. And lastly, if you've not managed to get a very crisp line with your drawing using the pencil, this is going to help you to define that line and make it a lot more sharp. This isn't something I do on a daily basis. I know there are a lot of people that do, but I just do this when I'm going out and I want that nice defined looking brow. I have noticed that when I do this technique, I get a lot of compliments on how precise my brows look. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel just to set the hairs in place. Although my brow hairs aren't unruly as such, it just creates a bit more texture by brushing them upwards. They naturally look fuller. For eyes, I'm starting off with Soft Ochre Paint Pot by MAC. This is just going to prevent my eyeshadows from shifting and they'll stay in place and they won't crease. I find the best way to apply this product is with my finger because the heat from the finger helps melt the product into the skin so it's not as thick. You could also try the Urban Decay Primer Potion, or you could try the NYX eyeshadow base, or even the one in Superdrug by B. The palette I'm using is Pippa for Blank Canvas Cosmetics. The palette contains 5 matte eyeshadows, a highlighter, a blush and a contour colour. The first colour I'm taking is called Lily. This is the lightest of the matte eyeshadows and I'm taking that over the entire eyelid right up to the brow bone. Because we are working with matte eyeshadows, I want to make sure there is no moisture on the lid at all. The brush I'm using is also by Blank Canvas Cosmetics and this is the E36 brush. Now don't forget guys, you can get 10% off of Blank Canvas Cosmetics if you use the code SHONA at the checkout. The next colour I'm using is this medium brown shade called Toby, and I'm using a E24 flat shader brush to apply this. I'm applying this really simply. I'm placing the brush at an angle on the outer corner of the eye and I'm pulling it onto the mobile eyelid towards the lash line. I'm creating a triangular shape from the outer corner of the eye going back towards the crease, so as you can see it comes straight out from the crease of my eye in a triangle down to the lower lash line. Now you may notice the browns we're going to be using are quite warm in shade, but this will end up more of a cool toned eyeshadow look. Because we're going to be using a lot of the black, the overall look will have more of a cool tone than a warm tone. The next colour I'm using is Susu. This is more of a neutral shade and would suit a lot of eyebrow colours as well, and because it's a matte finish you could use this to define your eyebrows. I'm using this colour to layer over the colour Toby that we've already applied to the lid. I'm then using an E26 blending brush by Blank Canvas Cosmetics to soften the edges. I'm using the brush in a feather motion to lighten the colour on the mobile eyelid so the transition between the lightest shade and the brown is seamless, and also around the edges of the eyeshadow. The next colour I'm taking is Dodo, and this is a rich chocolate brown. And again, using my flat shader brush, I'm tracing over the brown that we've already applied. The reason we need to keep building the colours underneath these is so that we get a nice rich amount of colour. If you go straight in with the darkest shades, it's going to look patchy, even more so when working with matte eyeshadows. You need to build up some colours underneath in order to get that nice transition and intense colour payoff. Now remember, it's key when working with any eyeshadows to blend your colours out, then reapply and then blend again. By sandwiching the colours, we're going to get longevity, meaning that they're going to last a lot longer throughout the day. The next colour in the palette I'm taking is the black. This is what's going to give us that cool tone but also really intensify our eyeshadow. If you want the eyeshadow to remain warmer looking, then use less of the black. I'm using my E23 pencil brush to apply this, and the reason I'm using a pencil brush is so I can be more precise. I'm creating a sharper line on that outer edge and I'm fading the colour across. The brush I'm using to blend this out with is the E32 tapered blending brush. I'm reapplying that colour again to the outer corner of the eye. Notice I'm not taking it all the way across the brown, instead I'm using the blending brushes to fade that colour into the brown. Doing this is going to prevent us from making our eye look too muddy and dark too quick. We want to build up that intensity slowly. Taking a cotton pad dipped in some makeup remover, I'm creating a sharp line on the outer corner of the eye. I'm placing it at the very outer edge of my mobile eyelid and swiping upwards in one solid motion. In my last tutorial you'll see I used Scotch tape to get that nice sharp line, but this is another way you can do that. On my E27 detailer brush, I've mixed a little bit of the darkest brown and black together and I'm running that underneath the lower lash line and then softening that with my blending brush. On my MAC 226 brush, I'm creating a bit of a winged liner on the inner corner of the eye, but I'm dropping it 2mm lower than our tear duct area and then I'm pulling that back to meet the colour we've already applied under the lower lashes. Now I'm creating a winged liner, nothing too major. Starting at the outer edge, I'm pulling the colour backwards onto the mobile eyelid and I'm making it thicker on the outer edge and thinner as we get towards the inner corner of the eye. This one is by Ico and it's their liquid liner pen called I Do. Using the very tip of the liner, I'm creating a point at the inner corner and then I'm filling in my waterline using the Urban Decay pencil in Perversion. A great affordable alternative would be the Super Shock Gel Liner by Avon. I've curled my lashes and now I'm applying my Marc Jacobs mascara in Velvet Noir. A dupe for this, which is a little bit less expensive but is still not a cheap mascara, would be the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, which is the one I usually always use. I'm using this set of Falsies by Backstage Lashes. These ones are called Chelsea. This company do an array of nice lashes. I actually used their Soho pair in my last tutorial. If you want to know how to apply false lashes in more depth, then you can check out my false lash application tutorial. For concealer, I'm using Drugstore High Street. I'm using the L'Oreal True Match Concealer. I'm applying a small amount under my eyes and then I'm going back in with my latex free sponge and bouncing that underneath my eyes to blend it in. I'm taking my Shiseido bronzer. I'm working a very small amount of that on my F04 contour brush around the sides of my face and a little bit across the tops of my cheekbones, just to add a little bit of warmth. For a high street alternative, you could just use the Bourjois Bronzing Chocolate palette. Going back to my Pippa palette, I'm using this shade called Armour, which is a really good contour colour, and on my E25 brush, I'm taking that down the sides of my nose. Then going back to my F04 brush, I'm applying a small amount of that into the hollows of my cheeks. The next colour I'm taking is Lulu, which is the highlighter, and this is a champagne shade, so I'm applying this in all the usual areas that I would highlight. To help give the look more of a cool feel, I'm using the Milk Cosmetics Nude Lipstick in Laced. This is a cool toned brown shade, but again still in the nude spectrum, and it's a nice matte finish that goes with the matte eyeshadows. And that completes this look. As you can see, it looks a lot more cool toned now we've got the lipstick and the darkness to our eyeshadow. I really love this look, so I really hope you do too. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. If you've missed either of my previous tutorials, you can click on these now and it'll take you to those. Don't forget you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and the links to those are in the description bar below. They are all at Show Me Makeup. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!